That's right. It's 2024. NASCAR is back this weekend, baby. The Daytona 500 is upon us. And Tommy, Cook, and I are doing something that has never been done here on Turn 200. We are making our 2024 NASCAR driver predictions for the season. And to steal something from a wrestling YouTube channel that at least I listen to, and I think Tommy has in the past, we are stealing the 3 words or less predictions from Wrestle Talk. So if you're a wrestling fan and somehow don't know about Wrestle Talk, go check them out. They have a lot of really great stuff. But we are stealing their idea and doing 3 words or less predictions for the 2024 NASCAR season. Tommy, how you feeling, partner? The NASCAR season's upon us.
I feel unconfident with my prediction.
Okay, I was going to say, in what way specifically?
Yeah. I feel excited. NASCAR is back.
Yes. The sport we know.
Speaking like a caveman this whole time, yes.
Sport we know and love. It has returned. If you haven't seen it already, our trivia show, I can't remember what it's called right now. Our trivia show should have aired already. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Alrighty, Tommy. So the way that we're going to do this is we are going to go by driver number. We're just going to start at number 1, the Ross Chastain, and we are going to work our way down the list, 3 words or less for your predictions. And we're going to get right to it. We're just going to start with Ross Chastain. Newly sponsored Ross Chastain. And I'll let you do the honors.
Oh, you don't have to, but okay, I sure will. Back on track is what I've got for Ross Chastain. I think he was a title contender for sure. In the middle of last season, we fell off the rails hard playoff time, but we ended strong. Ross Chastain, I think it's going to take the first ever non-championship 4 race winner in the season finale and take that momentum into 2024 and hopefully keep it throughout the season.
I like it. Obviously, for those that don't know, I'm a fan of Trackhouse, specifically because they're also getting into the MotoGP world, but that's a topic for another day. My prediction is a little less broad than that one, specifically for him. I have a lot of broad predictions.
I was going to say, most of mine is broad.
I was having a tough time coming up with predictions for a few drivers. So there's some very broad ones out here in this list. But for this one, I went a little more specific. Obviously, he's done really well throughout these last 2 seasons. But I think this is the year that Ross Chastain wins Crown Jewel. I think he gets a Crown Jewel win this season. Probably not Daytona, but he's shown a lot of speed at Charlotte in the past. I think the Coke 600 is definitely a place that he could get that accomplished. Obviously, haven't been to the Brickyard here in the new next-gen cars, so we really don't know what's going to happen there, but he has tons of experience, as much as anybody here winning in these cars, so I think that's maybe a place he could get it done as well. But I'm really looking specifically at the Coke 600, but I kind of blanketed my prediction with just a Crown Jewel in general.
Hey, you've got a 4 in 36 chance.
Hopefully it turns up right for me.
I could see him winning at Darlington.
Yeah, I think that's another one too. I think there's definitely other drivers that are, definitely more favorited there, but he could also get that done as well. Alrighty, well, let's move right along to somebody on maybe the opposite end of the spectrum from Ross Chastain, somebody that just signed a very nice sponsorship deal in Ross Chastain, to somebody that's going to need to turn it around this season. That's the number 2, the Penske number 2 of Austin Cindric. I'll go ahead since I made you go first on the last one. My prediction, I had to kind of the words don't make a whole lot of sense here, but they do. Penske Cup over. I think this is the last year for Austin Cindric on the Penske Cup team. I mean, at least for the foreseeable future. I mean, could he go somewhere else or go back down and work his way back up? I think certainly possible, but I just don't see the ship getting turned around this season. And there's a lot of young, talented, hungry drivers that Penske would be able to choose from. So I think this is his last year in Cup with Penske, at least for a while.
I think you and I are thinking similarly here. We both have aquatic themes to our 3 words. I have sink or swim. Obviously, this is a make or break year for Austin Cindric, regardless of how I think he's going to perform. Do I see a big bounce back for Austin Cindric in 2024? No, I don't. I would like to be wrong about that, but I don't see it happening. Of course, won the Daytona 500 a couple of seasons ago as a rookie. Do we need to give drivers a little bit more time to get things figured out? Generally, I would say yes. And then whenever somebody isn't immediately showing promise, then I'm willing to throw them to the curb. So we gave Byron this amount of time to really show consistent improvement. Did not really see any consistent improvement, really, even after he won the Daytona 500, or at all last season, really. So,
I mean, I think last season there was certainly some talent and promise shown on the road courses, or I guess
always has been
2 seasons ago. That would be 2 seasons ago now, but did not follow up on it last season in 2023 whatsoever. So,
no.
Yeah, I think unfortunately 2023 was even worse than his 2022. I don't know if that's statistically correct, but that's what it seemed like watching the races. So, yeah, definitely going to have to show something this season. Otherwise, I think he's gone. So, alrighty. Well, we're on the same page for that one. That doesn't happen very often, I don't feel like.
Well, we'll see. 34 to go.
Alrighty, we're going to move on to the number 3 RCR driver, Austin Dillon. Tommy, what's your 3-word or less prediction for Austin Dillon this season?
Dig hole deeper. He was really, we talk about maybe some mental health issues like snowballing for Bubba Wallace, but it really seemed like Austin Dillon throughout the middle to back half of last season. God, he was just so down on himself, and just every week there was something going on, and he had to give some gut-wrenching speech from the infield care center or post-race or something. Nothing went his way, whether it was his own fault or not. If things start off poorly this season, I could just see that mentality continuing. And then if that continues, the performance last season for Austin Dillon was, pretty dreadful across the board. So it needs to start off on the right foot in a hurry. Otherwise, it could be another rough season.
Yeah, definitely a lackluster season for sure. It was pretty poor. Looking at some statistics from last season, he had the most DNFs last year, and I think the number was 10. That's a lot. So, yeah, I don't know how it could get much worse, but my 3 words for him this season, sub 25th again. Finished 29th in the points last season.
Oh.
I don't see him finishing better than 25th this season. I think there's a lot of, I guess we've seen with this car, there's a lot more parity that's been talked about, to a nauseum almost at this point. But it's a good point to make. I think there's a lot of the younger drivers that are in traditionally not as good equipment that could definitely outrun the 3 car this year. So I don't think he's going to make it into the top 25 in points again.
We'll see.
And doesn't get a super speedway win either, so it's definitely not in the playoffs. That's my prediction. Alrighty, let's move to the number 4 new driver to SHR, Josh Berry. I'm interested what you think on Josh here, because I have maybe a bit of a hot take in the rookie class scene here. So what do you think about Josh Berry this season?
I think this depends on who you are, whether this is a hot take or whether this is a freezing cold McDonald's patty take here. I have 2024 breakout star.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think the gears are finally turning again at SHR. I think they've got a huge kick in the rear in the offseason. I think some of the lingering questions have been answered. Whether that translates to performance, it is yet to be seen. But I think the mentality has picked up there, and with a whole lot of fresh talent in the mix there, things could go one way or the other. I think Josh Berry is a huge get for SHR, and I think he's going to do quite well. I think he'll be rookie of the season. How much better it gets than that, it remains to be seen. But I see nothing but upside.
So with the Rookie of the Year campaign, what are you looking at points-wise? Where do you think he's going to shape out here?
Regardless of whether or not he gets a win, I would say 12th to 18th in the points, just outright in the standings after 26 races. I think that would be good enough for Rookie of the Season. I think that would be where I would expect him to be at.
Wow, we are on opposite ends. I shouldn't say opposite ends, but I'm a little bit colder on the number 4 this season.
Ooh.
So my prediction, my 3 words: outside top 20. I don't think he makes it into the top 20 in points. I think that you could potentially be right with SHR getting that massive boat turned completely the other direction, because they were other than Kevin Harvick, they were dreadful last season. They were
optimal.
They were dreadful in 2023. So I hope that you're right, because I love the SHR team. I like a lot of the drivers that are there, but whew, boy, after last season, it's hard to think positively, I feel like. But I really hope it happens, but I still don't think that he's going to get in the top 20 in points. I think he finishes outside the top 20.
All right.
So
we're wrong.
We're on Alrighty, moving on. This is the first Hendrick driver on the list, the number 5, Kyle Larson. Always has high expectations at this point in his career. I'm gonna go ahead. This isn't that hot of a take, because I feel like it's pretty difficult to get there. But he seems to have gotten there somewhat, I shouldn't say easily, but pretty often. I don't think he makes the Final Four this year.
No Final Four?
No Final Four. I know that, honestly, he's one of those drivers that with the really weird playoff schedule this season could potentially just get bounced in the first round. But I'm leaving it at no Final Four.
I left mine kind of vague. I have 5+ wins. I was going to add to that, though. With this schedule, I don't see a strong playoff run from Kyle Larson. So I think we're in agreement there. Plus, his playoffs are so streaky, pretty historically. So I didn't see it this season. So we are in agreement once again. Yeah, but I do see quite a bit of regular season success coming his way.
For sure. I don't disagree with that at all. I just think in the playoffs it doesn't happen for him. That's kind of where I'm at. And honestly, that playoff schedule has a lot to do with that. It's a very it's an interesting schedule. We'll just put it that way. Yeah, it's different for sure. So, alrighty. Well, we're not that far off there on that prediction. So, alrighty. Well, we'll move on to, I think we're going to have pretty close to the exact same prediction for the number 6 this season. That one would be Mr. Brad Keselowski. You don't think that we're going to be close on this prediction?
I don't know. You framing it like that makes me think that I don't know.
Okay.
Why don't you go first?
Okay. The 3 words I have to predict something for Brad this season: Snaps winless streak.
My man. My man.
Yes,
All right.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I had one last win.
One
Don't
last.
know where.
Oh, you think it's his last win?
I mean, let's face the facts here. Unless you're Kevin Harvick, wins it when you're getting up there in the numbers and the responsibilities around you are starting to pile up. Obviously, Roush Fenway Keselowski made a huge turnaround last season, and Brad was in it for a few times. But I mean, like, the last win's got to come eventually. Dale Jarrett hung around for, quite a few years after his last win. So did Bill Elliott. So did Terry Labonte. Ryan Newman as well. You never know when that last one's going to come. I don't think it has for Brad yet. I just don't see. I mean, you could still be a successful driver and not win.
Sure,
Bill Elliott and Terry Labonte after they won their last races. But it's just, you never know when it's going to be your last. It just hasn't. Brad's come close enough to where I think we've got one more. We've got one more in us. Oh, I'm not the driver.
I certainly think he has one more. I actually think it's a bit of a hot take that you think the next. Do you think the next one's going to be the last one? I mean, you think he's going to
very well be.
You think he's going to win once this year and then that's it? He's not going to win again?
I think it's very possible, but I do see him winning this year. Yeah.
Personally, for
the
me,
the next one that he wins, I'm going to celebrate like it's his last. So it doesn't really matter at the end of the day.
I like that. Alrighty. Well, I hope he gets that win. I mean, it'll be huge. I mean, obviously, with Buescher getting those 3 wins last season was massive for that organization. But I think if Brad can get one, I think it would be a little bit more special, even better than the 3 that Chris got. I love Chris Buescher, but when you got the owner that has turned that thing around, getting that win, I think it's going to be massive.
Absolutely.
Alrighty, well, let's move on to the number 7 car. This is Corey LaJoie, somebody that has been on the rise the last couple of years, I would say. Definitely talked about a lot more, for his racing than has been, I feel like, in the past, the last couple seasons. How are we feeling about the number 7's season here in 2024?
So I've got Spire's third wheel, and that's more of an off-track prediction because it's kind of already true. I mean, Spire as an organization, not just as a team, obviously has the capital to stay afloat. They always have, but them as a racing organization, their legitimacy, I think, was questionable until they got Corey LaJoie in the next gen, and then the team started, even if only inch by inch, we're on the up and up again. Yeah. And now all of a sudden they're so on the up and up that they've got Kyle Busch's truck team, and they've got 2 of the undisputed next biggest things in NASCAR in their Cup organization. Corey LaJoie is in the 7 car this year. So I think he may continue to flourish like he has the last couple of seasons with having Zane Smith and Carson Hocevar in shop with him, and maybe getting some more guidance from Trackhouse if they were to be so kind as to share data with Carson and Corey and Zane Smith. But I mean, from a relevancy standpoint, Corey just got bumped from top of the pops down to third. So gonna be an interesting position for him to be in as this season rolls along. I don't know how that translates to performance, but I don't know. I could see it going either way.
I am really interested to see the dynamics of that Spire team. I think that will definitely be something worthwhile to pay attention to, for sure. Not so sure. We'll talk about those other 2 drivers here down the line. Corey finished 25th in points last season. what you just talked about to me on a personal level for him, I feel like that's something that's just going to fuel him even further. Maybe thinking that he's kind of on the outs. Seems like somebody that's going to rebound well from that, in my opinion. So I have a very specific number of his finishing standings after 26 races. 21st in points. I don't think he gets to the top 20. I think he knocks on the door. I think he has really good showings, takes care of his equipment as he generally does. I think there's a lot of folks in the field that may have a lot of DNFs throughout the season. I don't think he'll be one of them, and he'll have some good races and get to 21st. That very specific prediction for me on Corey LaJoie.
I think that's your hottest take so far, but you know what? I can see that. I could see that happening. Especially through the first 10 races last season, he was banging off top 10s left and right. So if he could find a way to find that same energy to open up the season, I could see it.
Alrighty. Well, we're going to move on to who we used to call everybody's least favorite driver, and now he's turned himself into...
He's the underdog again.
Yeah, it's crazy.
He's a heroic babyface.
Crazy what's happened to Kyle Busch since he's gone to RCR, and admittedly, I'm one of them. I've really enjoyed his last season as well. So
yes.
All right, the number 8, Kyle Busch.
Sorry, I thought we were talking about Chase Elliott.
Oh, yeah, we don't. Well, we don't need to talk about that.
Anyway.
Alrighty. I'll go ahead and start with Kyle. Obviously had a very hot start to the 2023 season with RCR. First little soiree with them and came out strong. And then dwindled off there in the last half of the season, especially there into the playoffs. I think it's the opposite for him this season. My description for him in 3 words is late season push. I think it's a slow start for them, for both cars, here to start 2024, but I think they start getting it together, maybe get some win late in the season, and then at least gets to the round of 8 in the playoffs.
Okay.
Late season push.
I've got average it out. Because like you said, he started off hot, finished dreadful. Just abysmal. I was down there with Austin Dillon in the RCR hole. So average it out. Spread those 3 wins out across the whole season. The lows can't be as low. The highs don't need to always be as high. There's no reason if he doesn't stay consistent all season long that he can't make even a championship 4 run. As good as they were at the start of the season, definitely a possibility if they could find a way to bring that energy at the end. But you're not going to do that with how they ran through the playoffs and even through the late summer. It was just awful. Just awful.
For sure. Yeah, the first 12 weeks of the season last year, everybody was like, holy cow, is Kyle Busch going to win a championship this year? And then just tanked like crazy. So, I was too. I was super excited about, the resurgence and the new identity, and I was all on board with it too. They just fell off so hard there, like you said, in the late summer and then into the playoffs. Never really got it right by the end of the year. So I think it's a slow start, but ultimately ends up, I think, with a good run. So, alrighty, Tommy, let's take it to the man.
Everybody's least favorite driver.
Everybody's some people's least favorite driver. I don't know. Does anybody really hate Chase Elliott?
I'm sure if you asked around.
Yeah, for sure. But for the most part, even if you aren't like a woohoo go Chase guy, he's pretty low key. I feel like you're just like, it's Chase, whatever.
Yeah.
So, anyways, number 9, Chase Elliott. He's looking for certainly a turnaround to the last year of his life. It was an unfortunate, way to have to go through the year, and I think he's going to step up in a big way. But you tell me first, what's your three or less words here for Chase in 2024?
Mine's more of an ultimatum. Similar, it feels like we literally hit the reset button with the snowboarding accident.
Yeah.
And we've gone back in time to, 2016, 2017, saying, oh, Chase Elliott keeps coming close, but man, he's never going to win one, it feels like. So my thing now is got to win one. I've got to win one to, get over the hump, basically. And because once Chase won his first race at Watkins Glen, he started rattling them off left and right. And I feel like just getting that one win at some point this season is what's going to get him back on track and make him the championship contender we expect him to be. Because, he was given every opportunity last year to get things back on track, and it didn't happen for one reason or another. Maybe the lingering remnants of the injury. Who knows? Not for me to speculate, but it didn't happen. So, got to get that win, and we'll get it back on track.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough when you get injured, in the middle of the season, and then you come back right at the end of it. I think mentally that's a lot of pressure to put on somebody. And I think there were definitely some effects from the injury that just, it's hard to mentally get all the way there, I think, after something like that. I think this offseason is, probably been really good for him. Maybe some time out of the race car last year reminded him of, how much it means to him and just how much, harder he might need to work to get to back where he was. So I don't know. Maybe this is a hot take. I didn't feel like it was like crazy, but I think he has a multi-win season. I think he wins at least twice.
I could see it. Got to win once to win twice, though.
We could both be right on this one. That is true. Yeah. We are not on opposite ends of the spectrum, but I mean, he's good like literally everywhere. I don't think there's a track that he's really that bad at. Feels like he has a shot everywhere he goes at this point in his career, from road courses to short tracks to everything in between. So I think he maybe gets it done in two different mediums with maybe a mile and a half and then a road course or something. But I think he gets two.
All right.
So alrighty, that's Chase Elliott, and let's move on to another new driver at SHR, now in the number 10. The former Wendy's boy himself, Noah Gragson. Going to be an interesting year here for Noah in the number 10. But I'm hoping that some time away was good for him. I'm really hoping that he's grown. Obviously, he had the incident with Ross as well last season. So my 3 words that I'm predicting and hoping for Noah this year: keeps head down. I just hope he keeps his head down. He gets to work. He just tries his best to learn as much as he can, and doesn't get into any trouble either off the track or on the track. I think on the track he needed a lot of work last year as well before he got booted from his ride. So I'm hoping in all aspects he just keeps his head down and he gets to work this year.
Yeah, mine is lots to prove. Keep my comments to myself about his off-track character from last season, and say, not that Petty GMS or Legacy Motor Club, was anything to write home about last season, but his rookie season was pathetic on track. It was absolutely terrible. So the fact that he got this opportunity, yeah, head needs to be down, full focus ahead, because you're not going to get another chance like this.
Yeah, for sure. I think it could really be a great thing for him. He just has to get to work. That's really all there is to it at this point, I think, for him.
Yep.
So, alrighty. Well, let's move. Let's move on to the double
hits
one.
Keep on coming.
The number 11, Mr. Dennis Hamlin. I'll let you go ahead and go first on this one, partner.
Now or never. Got to win the title this year, right? It's got to happen. He's to say he's the next Mark Martin is now it's false because he's the first Denny Hamlin. He's superseded Mark Martin and how many squandered opportunities at championships that he's had. So it's now or never to strike your name from that conversation and again make Mark Martin the GOAT, which I'd be grateful for, I guess, kind of. I don't know. But you're started off hot and gotta keep that energy going. Daytona 500 is coming up. Denny's one of the greatest Daytona 500 competitors of all time. So it's, I mean, this has got to be the year. It's not going to get any better than this.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say this is like a now or never, as in he can never get there, to compete for a championship again. Maybe you feel that way. I don't.
Yes.
However, I'll just say it. My 3 words for Denny this season: second place, LOL. Those are the 3 words I have for Denny. I mean, he's proven obviously to be one of the best in the field, but I think he gets that Final 4 again and doesn't get it done again. I think that's Denny Hamlin's 2024, and it'll be somewhat comical. It'll be very comical, let's be honest. Who said it? I did. Other people out there are saying it too.
Yep. All those people.
Alrighty. Let's move on to the champ, the reigning, defending NASCAR Cup Series champion, the number 12, Ryan Blaney. We know that Blaney can be streaky as well. We talk about that all the time. Had to get really hot there towards the end of the playoffs to make that championship happen, and it all came together. But we have seen many champ hangover seasons, and I'm not going to say he has a champ hangover season, but I think he has a champ hangover playoffs. I think start to middle of the year goes pretty well. I just don't think he's gonna have that playoff run like he had last year. I think probably gets bounced in the round of 12. But like we've said already, with that crazy schedule, he could get bounced in the round of 16 as well.
Yeah, for sure. I'll tell you right now, he's already a Cup Series champion. Can't take that away from him. Don't care anymore. We've got a different championship in mind this year. That is Daytona 500 champion. 2 bridesmaids, never the bride. We're the bride in just a few days' time. I think Ryan Blaney wins the Daytona 500. Also, alternate title, another big year, if only for winning the Daytona 500.
Alrighty, I like it.
Another big year was the 3 word.
Yeah,
and then the rest was in parentheses.
I like it. I like that too. I gave you my my Daytona 500 winner the other day. Well, yeah, I guess it'll be 2 days ago at this point when that video comes out. We'll get to that here down the road, but I like that. I think, he gets a championship and then to follow it up with the very next Daytona 500. I mean, that would be just
what a statement.
Incredible. That would be incredible.
He might just retire on the spot, to be honest with you.
I don't think that would happen, but it'd be pretty epic for sure. So, alrighty, well, let's move on from Ryan Blaney and go to another SHR driver. This is Chase Briscoe, who had a more than abysmal 2023. I mean, by his standards, really, really bad. So this is what I'm hoping happens. And I think it will happen, at least to some degree. I guess 2 words I could say for this are bubble driver. I don't know if he gets to the playoffs, but he's going to be in that first 2 or 3 out sort of range if he doesn't win. But overall, my 3 words are rights the ship. So I think for him riding the ship would to be get back into the top 20 in points, contend to get into the playoffs. I think it's still a decent season for him if he gets to finishing, 17th or 18th. I think that's still acceptable.
So, like, anecdotally, I don't know if the stats back this up at all, but I feel like Chase was towards the front of the field a lot more in the playoffs, at least comparatively to how he ran the rest of the season. Maybe that was just SHR as a whole with Almirola and Priest doing better as well. But I've got something that you said earlier for somebody, I can't remember who. I've got head back down. So I think the stats, just if the culture is improved at SHR, I think the finishes, the average finish will come up. Top 10s will start to roll in more, and it'll be back to business as usual from what we expect out of the 14 and out of Chase Briscoe.
Yeah,
and what I expect out of Chase Briscoe as well.
Well, that was my prediction for another SHR driver. I think as a whole, that group, that's just what they have to do. They know that their last season was bad. At the end of it, they probably said, all right, it's time to get to work, put our heads down, and let's do this thing. And, I think 2024 is, getting back to proving that they belong in the conversation of one of the top teams. Alrighty, well, let's move on to the number 15 now. This is going to be mostly Kaz Gralla this season. Cody Ware is going to be in it as well. And is it Chandler Smith that's going to be in it for the 500? I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
Somebody else is going to be in it for the 500.
Maybe Riley Herbst?
It is. You're right. It is Riley Herbst.
Oh, okay. That was a guess.
I'm pretty sure it is. I know he's in it, and it was in a car similar to this, so I'm sure that's probably it. But I'm going with Kaz Gralla / Cody Ware for this prediction. I really don't have much to say other than is in field. They'll be there.
I want to say for the record, I'm a big Kaz Gralla fan. I like Kaz Gralla.
I like him too. I like him a lot. But I mean, so the facts for the 15 are the facts. I mean,
RWR is in an interesting place. For Kaz Gralla, I've got absolutely no pressure, and I don't mean that sarcastically.
Yeah,
go out there and have a good time.
Yeah, I want to talk about I want to talk about the RWR RFK thing a little bit more when Justin Haley comes around.
Definitely is the plan. Yes.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that more when we get to the 51. So let's go ahead. We'll move on to the number 16, which is also going to be a rotating cast of characters. It'll be Josh Williams, AJ Allmendinger, and Shane Van Gisbergen. So, this, I don't know. I feel like people are pretty hot. I mean, for this group, at least on the road side, everybody's going to be, really, really high on this 16 car. This is going to be probably a hot take for me, so I'm just going to throw it out there. Underperforms on road. I don't know. I think for some reason or another, it could be getting caught up in other people's messes or whatnot, but I just don't think it's really going to be that spectacular of a year for the 16. And on the road courses, that's where they should shine, and I just don't think it's really going to happen.
Yeah, so I don't even think they need to be caught up in other people's messes. Colleague right now is a mess of its own creation. They have gone from the fan darling team to an absolute disaster in the span of 36 races in 2023. You had AJ Allmendinger all but begging on the front stretch at the Charlotte Roval to be full-time next season.
Yeah.
And they split him up between three drivers in this car. They outs Justin Haley. What the hell happened there? I've got what a mess. That's my prediction for the 16 car and Colleague as a whole, but really the 16 car specifically. what a mess. I wish them all the success in the world, particularly AJ, a huge AJ Allmendinger fan. But yeah, I can't say I feel very good about Colleague as an organization right now. Feels bad.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at a rotating 3 drivers in the 16 car, that to me should not be happening.
No.
So I tend to agree. I think that's part of the reason that they're going to underperform, because I don't think that, crew as a whole is going to be really all in on, on that team. When you got drivers coming in and out, not really racing for anything. I mean, obviously want to race for wins, specifically on the road courses, but in the grand picture, I mean, they're not really racing for anything to me. So I just think it's going to be a lackluster year. So yeah, I think we're on the same page there pretty much.
I'd say so, definitely.
Let's move on to, I would say, maybe the breakout star of 2023.
I agree.
I don't know if I mean, that could be a little biased because I really like Chris Buescher, but I would say 3 wins for RFK, all coming from the 17 car for Chris Buescher. Breakout star of the year in my mind. I think he gets 2 wins again. I think he wins 2, but I also just don't see him going very far in the playoffs. I think he made it to the round of 8 last season. I don't know. I just don't see it. I don't see it happening for him.
I've got kind of a broad cop out for mine. I've got needs follow up. Whether or not Brad does anything this season is irrelevant. I think they've staked their claim as being back, so to speak.
Yeah.
And they are back, and largely in part due to on the track to Chris Buescher.
Oh, for sure.
But he needs to kind of bring that same energy again to make sure that the organization stays tip top compared to where they've been recently. So, kind of a lot of pressure, but Chris seemed to handle it well last year. So, could be another multi-win season for him. Or a no-win season with like a strong points run would be okay as well. I think that would be just fine.
Yeah, I mean, after their 2022 season, I feel like there was maybe less pressure last year than there will be this year. I think now that he has those 3 race wins under his belt, people are going to be expecting at least 1, if not 2. Like I am, but so I actually think there's probably more pressure this season than there was last season. But from the dynamic that I get with Brad and Chris, feels like that RFK organization is all behind Chris in that 17, and I think that will help a lot with the pressure of expectations, because I think they're probably telling him, dude, like, we're behind you, just go out there and do your thing. Like, there's not as much pressure as you think there is. I think that'll be the message from them anyway. So hopefully that'll help a little bit. But I think there's more pressure this year than there was last year.
All right.
Alrighty. We're moving on to the number 19, MTJ. We might have a similar prediction, might have the complete opposite one, but I think it's probably going to revolve around the same topic, maybe. What's your prediction for Martin Truex Jr.?
Shout out to Wrestling with Regrets. We're going with the last ride for MTJ. Again, another cop out. He could win 1 race. He could win 10 for this season. But this is it. This is it. And I know he'll want to go out strong. Maybe this season will mirror his actual career. He'll win 1 race at the beginning of the season and then win all 10 playoff races with nothing in between. And he'll go out with 11 wins.
That would be something spectacular. Highly doubtful, but
oh, come on.
You and I are right on the same page. I have actual last year for my prediction for him. So, yeah, I think this is it. I think he think he maybe struggles a little bit like Kyle Busch in the beginning of the season. I do think he gets a race win there late, maybe like in the playoffs. Might not win one in the regular season, might get one in the playoffs. I feel like he's going to be kind of in that category. I do think he gets a win this season. But yeah, I also think this will be the last ride for sure. So, alrighty. Let's move on to the number 20, Christopher Bell. I feel like he's solidified his space in NASCAR at this point. But still, still looking for the real breakout year, where he either wins a ton of races or wins the championship. Obviously, had the brake issue last season in the championship race, which was very unfortunate. But for me, Christopher Bell this season, I think it's he's a 3+ race winner. I think he gets at least 3 race wins. I think this is maybe finally his like big breakout year. Might even rack up 4 or 5. Who knows? But I feel like he is on the precipice of like just a spectacular season. Just hasn't quite been able to get there yet.
Yeah, it's Joe Gibbs perpetually, it seems like, no matter who's been in the organization for the last 10 years or so, they've had this weird power struggle with a bunch of the mega powers of NASCAR all colliding with one another. So, of course, I've got Christopher Bell, the cream rises.
All right.
I think he solidifies himself, like you said, at the top of the organization with a banner year, multi-win, another playoff run. Hopefully, at least makes it to the end of the damn race at Phoenix for the championship.
Yeah,
where he falls on that final race, who knows? But could very easily go his way. But yeah, big year.
I like it. I'm right there with you. I think he's right on the cusp. Alrighty, let's move on to somebody that is on the complete opposite end of the spectrum here. Moving on to the number 21 for Wood Brothers Racing. This is Harrison Burton.
I keep blocking people out on my list. I mean, like, what do you mean? What is Bubba Wallace? Why is he on the opposite end of the spectrum of Christopher Bell? They're both in Toyotas. No, you're right. Yeah, Harrison
Burton. This is basically the same prediction as Austin Cindric for me. This is it. Yeah, I mean, even if he does do somewhat decent, I still feel like this is going to be the final year. So my prediction is out after 24. Who knows where he goes? It goes down, moves on to a different, car. I don't know. But he is out at Wood Brothers after 2024 for me.
Mine is he's still here.
Yeah.
We gotta get Wood Brothers win number 100. So.
And I mean, if you've followed my socials in the past, you would know that I love Wood Brothers Racing. Huge fan. It has been tough. It has been tough to watch them the last couple seasons.
I will say I wish nothing but success to Harrison Burton, but
for sure. I like him a lot.
I don't know if it's him or the organization, but they have sucked something fierce the last 2 years. It has been horrible.
Yes, they have.
But all the best. I'd love to be wrong. I'd love for him to stay there until he's 76 and win 14 championships between now and then. But I do not see it happening.
That's the thing. I feel like he's such a nice kid, and he does have, I think he has a really good head on his shoulders just as a human being, that it's been easy for Wood Brothers to keep him there, even though he's been underperforming on the track. But at some point, you got to have the results, and they just have not been there.
That's another thing with what we were talking about with Cindric, with giving talent time to develop, even at the top levels of the sports. Yeah. When has it been enough time? Has it been enough time yet? Who knows? Maybe Harrison was going to be the Gen 6 breakout star, and then the next gen rolled around and he just couldn't acclimate. Maybe he'll acclimate this year. Who knows? But it's been rough to watch. So here's to hoping for a good 24.
And that's part of a bigger conversation with them taking so much practice out of the season schedule. That's a much bigger conversation about where NASCAR has gone as far as that goes. Certainly less time on the track throughout a season for the drivers. So you're probably right. As far as seasons go, it feels like these people coming up are going to have to be given a little bit longer of a leash, to really get them to understand the car and give them time to learn and develop it as much as they can. So I think there's a bigger conversation there as well, for sure. But let's go ahead and move on. We're going to move to the number 22. This is Joey Logano, the 2022 NASCAR champion. I think he got bounced in the first round last year.
Sure did.
If I remember right. So definitely looking for better playoffs this time around. What do you think is on the horizon here for the 22?
I've got another cop-out. Consistency is key. Because it seemed like Logano was inconsistent as all get out last season. So, I mean, obviously won some races last season, made the playoffs, but was bad in the playoffs, got bounced in the first round. It's kind of similar to Kyle Busch. Like, the highs don't need to be as high, the lows can't be as low. Yeah. It seemed like most of the races he was just like trundling around in like 12th to 18th. And then towards the end of the races, he might make a push up towards the top 5 or the top 10. Who knows if he would finish there? It's just sort of felt like, at least. So, got to be more consistent in at least the finishing output, stage points as well, for Logano this year.
Yeah, and I think he's going to be good throughout the season. I think it'll be a turnaround from the playoffs last year. I have Final Four bound. Four bound is my description and my prediction here for Joey. He's obviously proven himself. He's been pretty good with the playoff structure in the past. And I think he gets there again. I think he kind of puts himself at the very top of the sport as much as you can be as far as, champions go at this point with the group of drivers we have out there in the field. I think if he wins another championship this year, I think that puts him right there at the very top of the field. So I'm looking for a really, really strong run in the playoffs here from the 22.
All right.
So, all right. Hot takes all around. I'm loving this, Tom. We've had some funny takes. We've had some really hot takes. We've had some really cold takes. A couple from me.
We're a couple of well-rounded dudes here at Turn 200.
Alrighty. Let's move on to the 23. We're moving on to Bubba Wallace, somebody that I think on track has really shown some good leaps in the last couple seasons, but has to have a year that's, I don't know. I don't know if he's really had the year that's like, this is going to put me in the sport like until I don't want to do this anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I still feel like he's in that spot where if he has a couple bad seasons, they could be like, we could maybe find somebody younger to come in and, build rather than have Bubba stick around. But, if he has another pretty solid season with a win, I think that he kind of puts himself in that, all right, I can pretty much do this until I want to be done.
So the 3 words there were...
The 3 words here for me are wins non-super speedway.
Oh, okay.
Obviously very good on super speedways as well documented, but I think he gets a win, and only one win, and I don't think it'll be on a super speedway.
Fair enough. I mean, when people talked about Bubba, what he needed to do in 23, it was be more consistent, be in it for more races, and improve the road course racing. And that was check, check, check. All of it. He did it all. Had, the bumps along the way, but ticked every box, ticked all the boxes that I had for him as well. it's sort of like a similar trajectory, even though he's won 2 races, of course.
Yep.
It's a similar trajectory to Chase Elliott. It's like, all right, well, he's got the 1 win, rain shortened at Talladega. It's a win. Got the 1 win at Kansas. Technically, it wasn't in his own car, but I mean, he was still the dominant driver that day. So that's a made up asterisk that stupid people give it. But it's like, he's not had that definitive career victory yet to really, like you said, solidify himself. And so does that come this year? I think it does. But I think until it does, my 3 words are over the hump. Get over the hump. Get yourself that win. And I think with 2 super speedways to open the season, I think very well could be knocking on the door of getting over the hump right away. But also ran very strong in the non-super speedways, to your point as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he really solid on 1.5 miles last year. Really solid. I think he's going to be able to get one of those this season, in my eyes. Interesting that you said over the hump for your prediction. I have the exact same words for somebody else coming up on the list.
Interesting.
So we'll get to that here in a little while. But let's move on to another Hendrick car. We're going to go to William Byron in the 24. Obviously, super great season last year. I mean, lots of wins. Was right up there at the front of the field seemingly every single week, but just couldn't get it done in the playoffs. My prediction for the 24 wins the chip. I think William Byron is your 2024 NASCAR Cup Series champion.
Wow, 24-24. How original.
Right?
I mean, you and I are. I didn't go as far. Just a spoiler for the rest of my list. I didn't go as far as to name a champion for this year, but I put quiet annihilation again. Those are my 3 words for William Byron.
I love those words.
This is as close as I'm going to come to predicting a championship because I can see it happening. Yeah. I sure can see it. I can see it pretty clearly too.
I feel like this is the year. I have a feeling. He's been on the rise big time in the last 3-4 years, and then last season, what did he have? 4 wins, 5 wins?
4 or 5, yeah.
It was 4 or 5. I mean, that's a lot of wins in a season. At this point with this car, that's a lot of wins. And yeah, I think he gets it done this year. Alrighty. Well, let's move on to the number 31. This is Daniel Hemrick coming in to Colleague to replace Justin Haley. Back in the Cup Series, I should say. This one is going to be an interesting one to watch as well. I don't know. So my 3 words for him: won't outperform Haley. I don't think he outperforms Justin Haley. Haley finished 26th in the points last season. And I don't know. And I think, like we've already talked about, organization's probably going to have a lot to do with this as well. But I just don't see that group doing better than they did last year.
So we're pretty much on the same page then. I've got outside top 25. I have some confidence in Daniel Hemrick. If you would have asked me this time last year, I would have said I have great confidence in Colleague. Not right now. Hopefully that changes because I like Daniel Hemrick. But I don't see it. I don't see it at all.
Alrighty. Wow. There's quite a few that we've been kind of on the same page with.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird.
I like that.
Just for the record, we didn't collaborate on these at all.
No.
That's not sarcasm either.
No, Tommy said, don't worry, I will make a different doc in my own email, not our group email that we have. So I never even had a chance to take a peek.
Nope, no peeking.
Alrighty, well, let's move on to the 34. This is Michael McDowell. When I was trying to come up with something for Michael, I just had a hard time. I mean, he's there and he's solid, but there's just not a lot of juice there for me. I don't know. what's your okay. What do you got for Michael this season? I'm interested to see what you got.
Well, it's funny because it's like you're reading my script now. I've got mixed expectations again. Those are my 3 words here. So, who the hell knows in any given year what Michael McDowell is going to do?
Yeah,
I mean, last year, obviously, won the Daytona 500 2 years ago, or I guess now 3 years ago.
3 years ago, yeah.
As of 3 days from now, or whenever this goes out, I don't know. But I mean, obviously, he won the Daytona 500 that year, was in the playoffs, got bounced in the first round. But I mean, last year was a much stronger year.
Yeah.
For maybe not for FRM as a whole, but definitely for Michael McDowell personally, that was his best season to date.
Yeah.
So does he keep up with that? I mean, not that he's getting like long in the tooth or anything, but he's not getting younger. Do we stay pressed down on the gas here? I don't know. I literally don't know what to expect. He could win 2 races next year, or he could finish 27th in the points. Not a clue.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat. He did win Indianapolis Road last year. Am I right in that? Yeah.
Yeah, you are correct.
I saw him win last season.
Yeah.
I was there at that race. I was a little dejected because Suarez was, anyways.
Yeah.
But I mean, love Michael McDowell as well. I think he's awesome. For me, I mean, he's somebody that could sneak a win. He could sneak 2 or 3 wins on it. Like, as good as he is on road courses and then the super speedways, like, he could have multiple wins this season, but he could also just kind of be okay. And I'm going on more of the sides of okay. My words for him are first 4 out. So, like talking about March Madness. I'm a basketball guy. We're talking about March Madness. I always talk about the first 4 in, last 4 out, last 4 in, whatever. He's part of that first 4 out category from, 17th on back to the 20th, I think.
Fair enough.
Alrighty. Well, let's move on to the other car on this team. This is the 38 of Todd Gilliland. And, I mean, Todd had some pretty good runs last season. I'm going out on maybe a little bit of a limb here, probably a big one, but he's going to have a Michael McDowell-ish year from a couple years ago. He is going to be the 2024 wild card winner.
Wow.
I think he gets a super speedway win, and like one of those just wild and crazy super speedway races. I think he's going to come out on top of one of them.
I feel like I've been taking like crazy juice for the last couple of years. Because this 38 car, Anthony Alfredo was in it, and his rookie season didn't go quite that well. John Hunter Nemechek, I thought, over-delivered for the 38 car where it was at the time, and then went back down to the truck series, and then all of a sudden we pretended like he had a bad season in that 38 car.
Yeah.
And I feel like Todd Gilliland's rookie season got glossed over as well. I thought he way over-delivered on expectations in his rookie season in the 38 car.
I feel
personally, I thought that he would have got bounced. And my prediction at that point, at the beginning of the season, is he was going to get bounced midway through the season, because I did not have any expectations that he was going to be worth anything at all in that car. And he surprised me, did really well. So my expectations for him last season were really high, and maybe it's my own fault, but I thought he fell short of those. Yeah. But they call it the sophomore slump for a reason. So I'm going to say past sophomore slump.
Oh.
Whatever that means, I don't know. But I think this year is going to be another good year where Todd Gilliland surprises some people with some good runs. Does that involve taking a win? For my sports betting habit, I sure hope it does.
Yeah.
That is not financial advice.
Saying that he's going to win a race is certainly a hot take. I mean,
I love the hot take, though.
That is certainly one of my more out there takes here for the season. But I can just see it. I can just see it happening.
Manifest it.
I know.
Bring it to life.
And it could come at Talladega while I'm there. I mean, that would be even better. So, could be huge.
Could be huge. Could be huge, Todd. Come on, think about it. Could be huge.
Alrighty, let's move on. We're going to go back to the last SHR car in the field. This is the number 41 of Ryan Preece, who took the most abuse in the NASCAR Cup Series last season. 2 just absolutely monster wrecks. Looking to turn things around with that organization. What do you think for the 41 this year, Tommy?
I saw everything I needed to see from Ryan Preece through the final 10 races of the season after the wicked tumble at Daytona. I've got Ryan Preece ready to roll. I think he's in for a career year. Maybe could point his way into the playoffs. Maybe could sneak out a win somewhere.
Yeah. Maybe
in laps to land in New Hampshire or one of the short tracks. I could see Ryan Preece having a good year if SHR came to play, which, you and I both think that, or at least we're hoping that they are turning it around. And if that's the case, I think Ryan Preece ready to roll.
All righty. I like that one. Ready to roll. Love that. Little Stu Feiner action there for you people who know who he is. Alrighty, getting to my prediction for Ryan. I'm in a very, very similar boat. I'm not sure he's going to get a race win, but I have him as a bubble driver, but it's bubble driver out. I think he's going to finish. I think he's going to finish like 17th, 18th, be the first or second one out of the playoffs on points. But knowing him, those last few races, he's just going to be going balls to the wall to try to make the playoffs, and it's going to be electric television, I think.
Electric.
Hey, it's electric.
Boogie, woogie, woogie.
Boogie, woogie, woogie. Alrighty, we're going to move on. We're moving on to Legacy Motor Club now. This is the number 42. And it's John Hunter Nemechek back. He's back. And curious to see how the season for all of this organization is going to go. Obviously, the massive move over to Toyota. Toyota's looked really good last season as well, so they're hoping to get a little extra boost from that. What are we thinking here for the 42 this season?
So it's interesting, Legacy Motor Club, Toyota has been just yearning for another third team since MWR left the sport almost a decade ago now. And they finally have got one that, has, for the most part, its ducks in a row. Obviously, last season was not good for them, but it was a lame duck year. So Legacy Motor Club and John Hunter Nemechek, to me, go hand in hand. I would give them the same 3 words. And that is biggest question mark. I think Legacy Motor Club could be the real difference maker in the playoff picture at the end of the season, depending on how they perform. Personally, I know John Hunter Nemechek isn't the most popular driver, depending on who you ask. I am a big fan of John Hunter Nemechek. On and off the track. He doesn't take no crap. I like that a lot. I hope, because I want to like Legacy Motor Club too. Yeah. I ultimately am erring on the side of cautious optimism for JHN and LMC. We'll see if I'm vindicated or not. I'm excited to find out, though. Because it does sound like Toyota is not giving them factory support, though. At the same time, that's what's really got me not sure if this is all going to work out.
I like the analysis. I like everything that you said there. And you said something very similar to what my prediction for him is. And I only have 2 words for this one. Ruffles feathers.
Amen.
He's aggressive on the racetrack. I think they're going to have better speed than they did last season in that number 42. So he's going to have the opportunity to ruffle those feathers on the track. And when he does, he doesn't back down. if he ruffles feathers on the track, he's going to ruffle them off the track as well. So I think ruffling feathers is what is in store for the 42, specifically John Hunter Nemechek this season.
He's already ruffled some feathers, you know. He crossed paths with Ruffley Featherhouse at the LA Coliseum, so
yeah,
already ruffled. You're already right.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be a ton more of that. So, and I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be awesome. So, alrighty. Well, let's move on to the other entry for Legacy Motor Club. This is the 43 of Eric Jones, and we have a good pal that is the biggest Eric Jones fan that I know. And for his sake, I'm hoping things really turn around this year, and I think they will. For the 43 and Eric Jones, I have wins and in. So he's going to get a win. It's not going to be in the playoffs after he's already been bounced out of the playoffs. He's actually going to get into the playoffs this season.
There you go.
Hot take. Hot take.
Again, erring on the side of cautious optimism. I mean, it was not hard to see that Eric Jones was outperforming that car pretty consistently last season. And so I've got Eric Jones, regular top 10er with the number 10 with a dash and an R. So it is one word.
Yeah, that's one word.
With a number in it.
Yeah.
Regular top, I guess I'm going to use the British slang term for a $10 or £10 note. Regular top tenor.
I like it. I love it. Yeah, I think so too. I think it's going to be a better season for sure. I'm not sure it could really get that much worse.
Oh God! Don't say that. Don't say that.
I mean, unless you get the Austin Dillon 10 DNFs this year, but
Eric Jones, no top 10s. Lock it in.
But a win, and he gets in the playoffs, which I guess is a top 10, so that doesn't really make any sense. But
yeah,
hear me out. No. Alrighty. Let's move on to another Toyota. This is the number 45, and somebody that is rising to stardom in my mind in NASCAR. This is Tyler Reddick for 2311. Personally expecting big things for him. How are you feeling about the 45?
Second fiddle year.
Really?
Not saying I'm not expecting big things. I don't know. He didn't show me quite enough last year. His highs were very high. His mid was mid, and his lows were low. I think if Bubba can take off, he's gonna leave Reddick in the dump.
I think that might be maybe not the hottest.
I think that is
pretty spicy.
I do think that is a pretty hot take. Yes, I'm aware.
Alrighty, I am on the very opposite end of that spectrum. My words, you had these same words for the other 2311 driver in Bubba Wallace. My prediction for Tyler Reddick is over the hump.
Oh,
but
interesting.
In a little bit of a different context than yours was. Okay. I think this is the season Tyler Reddick makes it to the Final Four.
Okay.
I think
I would not be opposed.
I think he's just gonna take off this season and make a big run of the playoffs and get to the Final Four. We have hot takes on very opposite ends of the spectrum there for the 45, and I'm here for it.
2311 is going to tear this channel apart. A house divided.
I love it. I love it. For us, that would be great TV.
I think so.
Alrighty. So let's move on to the number 47, your reigning Daytona 500 champion, 47, Ricky Stenhouse, Jr. What do we have on tap here for Ricky this season?
Well, for Ruffley Steakhouse, I've got 3 words. The one in the middle starts with an F. The 2 around it are who knows. So you can guess what the middle word is there.
Okay.
Does anybody ever have an accurate prediction about Ricky Stenhouse? Last year in our Daytona 500 prediction video, I said, well, Ricky Stenhouse hasn't finished in the top 10 in the Daytona 500 in 9 years. Then he won. He just shows up in the top 5 whenever he wants, and then we'll ride around in 25th for the rest of the time after that. He's a hard man to pin down, I'll tell you that much for free. But I genuinely don't have a clue where he's going to finish week in and week out or where he'll finish in the points. It's just impossible to predict it from my perspective anyway.
Yeah, when I was trying to find my prediction for Ricky this season, I started scouring my brain for very specific predictions because I just have no idea, like you said, how his season as a whole will develop. So my very specific prediction, DNFs real super speedways. I think he will DNF both Daytona races and both Talladega races.
Wow.
Which are typically some races that he does incredibly well in, but he is also incredibly aggressive to get to those positions. I think nobody takes his stuff this season, and I think he ends up getting wrecked out of all of them.
We'll see. Again, hard man for me to predict. could win all 4 of them, honestly.
Yeah, if he finishes top 5 in all of them, then don't let me do this again next year. Alrighty, let's move on to somebody that is in a very interesting position here in 2024. This is the 48, Alex Bowman for Hendrick. I don't know what to think about him and this team this season. I feel, obviously of any of those Hendrick drivers, he's the one that's the first one out. If somebody comes along that Rick Hendrick has his eye on. So if he doesn't have a very good season, I mean, does he get bounced this year? I don't know. What do you think?
I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. I don't know how attached Ally is to Alex Bowman specifically, because they were there with Jimmy Johnson, of course, before.
Yeah.
Alex Bowman came in as sort of a junior protege. Junior is not, he's kind of in the organization still, kind of not. Who knows? I've got Daytona 500 pole. That's definitely my most specific prediction in this. That's maybe the coldest take in this as well, because he hasn't been off the front row in 7 years. So, Alex is another one. Disappointingly, is hard to pin down, but not for the wild, eccentric way that Ricky Stenhouse is. Bowman has just been he over delivers for half of a given season, and then will wildly under deliver for the other half. With the injury last year or two, who knows where he's at? I want a dominant Alex Bowman season. I think it's possible. I don't think it's likely. And I don't want him to be out of Hendrick, but something's got to give at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I'm kind of in that similar position. For him, my 3 words are no race wins. Don't think he gets a race win this year. And I think it's just kind of a lackluster season after, he had a couple of years there where, like you said, he just kind of came out of nowhere and had some really good races, multiple wins. I don't know. I just don't see it happening this year. But it is Hendrick, so we do have to keep that in mind.
It is.
But for the sake of the video, I'm saying no race wins.
0.
Big goose egg for the 48. Alrighty, let's move on to the aforementioned a long time ago number 51. This is Justin Haley for Rick Ware Racing. Maybe the most surprising news out of last year, when it sounded like Haley probably had an opportunity to stay with Colleague, and then Rick Ware came knocking on his door like the police really hard and really wanted him. And Justin said, all right, well, if I got somebody that really wants me and is going to give me a great deal because they believe in me that much, then heck yeah, I'm just going to jump ship. I think from an outside, just general perspective, seemed like a crazy move at that point. But after hearing about the alliance with RFK, and it sounds like Keselowski was very involved with these conversations, kind of sounds like Haley's going to be the replacement for Brad after Brad decides to hang it up. A much less crazy move, I guess you would say, from Justin to hop to the 51. But I do think that Justin has a tough year ahead.
I am a big Justin Haley fan. I know I've said that about a few drivers, but Haley is somebody I, like actively in any given race will seek out where they are running. We'll root for them when they're, towards the front. Big Justin Haley fan. This move caught everybody out. Really caught me out. Kind of opened my eyes to maybe some of the inadequacies at Colleague, because that seemed like a really healthy organization. And obviously something had to happen there either before, something definitely happened after. So, I'd side more with Justin Haley on that one. But in a crazy move like that, even if you are promised the 6 car, the flagship car at the organization at RFK, somewhere down the line, I've got to show something for 2024. Gotta show me why you would make a move to the laughing stock of NASCAR, seemingly on a whim. Even if things are promised down the line, it is just such a crazy move. You gotta show me why you would make it, whether that be just, I don't know, making the 51 car not in the bottom 3 charters for the 15th year in a row or whatever it is, even though NASCAR says they can revoke the charter if the team purposely underperforms year in and year out, and they never do it. Just show me why. Why did you do this? All the best to them, but good God, it just seems so crazy. And you know what? Sometimes crazy is what needs to happen.
Yeah, to your point about, that team as a whole, to me, Rick Ware going after Justin and then getting RFK involved, I think Justin specifically is going to get a lot of help from the RFK crew, I'm sure. So that's going to help. But for Rick Ware Racing as a whole, I think the move at least shows NASCAR that they're trying to better themselves by hiring somebody like this rather than just having the owner's kid drive the car and be a back marker every week. That's how I see it.
Hopefully.
Alrighty. Let's move on to Ty Gibbs, the number 54.
I've got a prediction for our prediction, and I think we are going to say the same thing. I
think there's a good chance for this one too. So let's go ahead and just get right to it then. We'll talk about, some specifics afterwards. You want to say it on 3?
Sure.
All right, let me make sure I got my okay. Alrighty. You ready? 1, 2, 3. Gets
first win. Finally. Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
2 of the 3 same words there.
I think that's a pretty easy prediction though.
Is that a cold take? You think that's a cold take? It is a sophomore season.
Yeah, it's a sophomore season. He had good races last year. There were a couple that he was really good in. He just, kind of couldn't kind of get it done towards the end of the races. He's in incredible equipment, obviously. He's a capable race car driver. I think his biggest problem, which unfortunately we've already seen, well, unfortunately for some, maybe fortunate for the viewers, He's already started getting into it with some of the drivers, particularly Joey Logano. The number 22 is not somebody you want to be on his bad side. He has the capability to make your season not very fun. So
yeah,
this kind of seems like Ty did a really good job last year, I feel like, of just kind of staying kind of down low key, not really getting into it with anybody and doing his thing. And he has kind of, at least at the Clash, regressed to his Xfinity days. I think that's just a bad move. I think he's going to have to turn that around a little bit. However, if he does keep that up, it's going to be incredible television.
That's the point I was going to make as well. His reputation very much preceded him heading into the Cup season last year. I thought he did a good job of keeping his head down, focusing on the racecraft, had some good races, turned the temperature up a little bit during the playoffs, got into a couple of rows, but nothing crazy. Where the fault lies in the Logano-Gibbs exchange, how you feel about either of the drivers particularly, that is it a sign of things to come? Maybe, maybe not. He's capable of similar blow-ups with anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think only time will tell. But another specific prediction, I think win number 1 comes at Dover.
Oh, wow. Very specific.
Will not elaborate any further. I will not take any questions.
Alrighty. No other questions for Tommy Cook on that one. All right. No other questions. We're going to go ahead and move on. We're going to move on to the 71 of Zane Smith. One of those Spire drivers that you talked about. Now jumping ahead of Corey LaJoie in the pecking order. I don't know. I feel like for this team, still kind of unknown what this team's going to be capable of coming into this season. Obviously have been on the up, but how up have they come? I guess I would ask. However, and this is going to be a potentially hot take with one of the drivers in the rookie class. I think Zane Smith wins Rookie of the Year.
Okay.
That's a spicy meatball.
I think that is maybe not from a talent perspective, but from an equipment perspective. I mean, where's the balance between that? It is an interesting conundrum. Mine isn't so much a prediction as it is, I think, a generally accepted fact. Maybe the coldest take of the entire show here. Has massive upside.
I am not Tommy Cook, and I approve this message.
Zane Smith is a good driver, and I think he'll be good in 2024. He'll be good at the thing that he does professionally.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is your Captain Obvious pick of the night.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
Certainly
I was born Captain Obvious, and I'll go down with this ship.
Certainly upside for Zane Smith. I have no more to say.
Thank you.
Alrighty, I have a pretty interesting prediction for the number 77. Carson Hocevar coming in directly from the trucks into the Cup Series full time, also for Spire in the 77. And my prediction, most DNFs.
Really?
Yeah, that is my prediction for Carson. I think he may have bit off more than he thought he has, a little bit more than he can chew. Certainly a much different type of car than he's ever, I mean, he's ran a couple races in the Cup Series. I made a couple starts, but he's another aggressive driver. And I think he also has the opportunity to ruffle a lot of feathers. And I think he's just going to have a pretty tough year. And I think he's going to have the most DNFs.
That's interesting because I don't know. I think he's eligible for Rookie of the Year this year. He ran a lot of races last year.
Yep.
it's a weird place for him, not only in the team that he's in, with the organization being in this weird growing state, and the driver dynamics that we've already mentioned with a teammate and a half technically. It's a weird place to be in, but also it's a weird place for him in his career because he came in like a bat out of hell last year, immediately was running in the top 10 at Gateway of all places in his first career race before having a brake failure there. Ran really well for Petty GMS for the playoff races. It's a weird place for him to be in where it's like he's got experience, he's got the leg up on everybody except for really Josh Berry amongst his true peers.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's my prediction, is that he's in a weird place, and I could very easily see him snowballing to have a lot of DNFs or to being able to capitalize off of it and, like making a splash. I could see if he gets off on the right foot, I could see him doing really well if the team is behind him, like top 20 in points. Some things need to happen, and he needs to stay on top of it and not, drudge up old acquaintances along the way. Yeah, it could be a big year or it could be a bad year. So just a weird place really for Carson Hocevar this year.
Interesting. I also agree. I think it could also end up being an incredible year for him, which an incredible year would be, I think some top 10s, maybe 4 top 10s would be a pretty good year for him at this point. In the 77 specifically. So, but I'm just erring on the other side of the coin here. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be the down year. But for the record, I hope that's not the case. That's just in my brain. What my brain pictures for him, that's what it pictures. So all right, we got one more driver, Tommy. We finally made it to the end. If you have somehow made it to the end of this video, you deserve a hell of a lot of points. What do those points do for you? I have no idea, but you deserve them. So thank you very much. This is the number 99, the other Trackhouse entry, Daniel Suarez. Suarez is in a very interesting position in his career, I feel like. He has a race win now. Not this last season, but the season before. Has decent sponsorship behind him as well. How much of that is, Trackhouse in particular bringing that in versus him, I don't know. But this feels like kind of a make or break year for Suarez.
Yeah, and off the top of my head, I don't remember where his contract lies in terms of expiration and that, but I've got win for contract for my 3 words. It's very much a make or break year for Daniel Suarez. I think pretty disappointing 2023 altogether, even without the win, just the runs weren't there. And maybe that was an organization thing as well, because Ross, ran well for most of the year. But wasn't ever really a threat to win races throughout the season. And Daniel suffered performance-wise as well. So maybe an organization thing, maybe a driver thing. I don't know. But Daniel's in a must-win year, if only for his own credibility.
Yeah, certainly. And then my prediction is wins again. Obviously, I am a known Daniel Suarez fan.
Really? Is that what the 99 is up there behind you?
That over there?
Oh yeah, I see that.
I wasn't sure anybody saw that this whole hour and a half. Yeah, I'm rooting for him. I want it to happen. I think he's got a great personality, a different personality to bring to the sport. But he's got to win. He's got to win this year, and I'm hoping he does it. Therefore, I'm predicting he's going to do it because that's what I want to happen. Whether it does happen or not, I don't know. It's tough to win It is tough to win in the Cup Series, but I think he's going to be able to do it. I think he's going to be able to get another one and hopefully make a round of 12 or a round of 8 in the playoffs this time around would be beautiful. I don't know if that is really on the table, but I do think a win he's definitely capable of.
For the record, I'm also trying to will it into existence.
For me, just for me.
Oh, for me too, but mainly for you, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely not for Daniel, no.
We need I'm not going to say. We need the 99 to win. We'll just put it that way. I was going to say something about the 21 as well, but we're going to leave that. We're going to leave that on the table.
Let's go, Daniel.
All righty, Tommy. We've made it. That is the end of our prediction show here for 2024. I am very excited for this season. I'm also excited to get to the end of the season and watch this back and do a reaction video to our predictions.
God.
Because those are always lovely to see. But
feature me.
Wow. I mean, what a year we have upon us. I mean, regardless of what old heads say, this sport is in a good place. I think. I really believe that it is. I think they're making good strides to get to their old really highs. They're doing things to get there.
Yep.
And they have so much good talent in the field right now. The sport's in a great place, and I'm really looking forward to this season.
I won't say the sport's in a good place until we get electric flying cars. That's what's going to save NASCAR. They need to fly. They need to be all electric. No more tires, no more gas, and no more drivers. We need robot pilots. And NASCAR will be great again. Thank you.
That's Tommy Cook, ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry, that was an AI hologram of Tommy Cook.
There you go.
That wasn't real.
Alrighty, Tommy. Well, thanks for joining me. This was kind of my idea to do this, so thanks for taking the time to write some predictions down and tell the folks what we think's going to happen. You leave your predictions in the comments and tell us if we are blundering idiots for any of ours, because I'm sure some of you have very strong opinions on some of the things that we said. So thank you for watching, and keep up with us throughout the season. Comment on our videos and tweet at us about how much of idiots we are after things happen this year. So thank you guys, and we will have another video for you coming up here in just a couple of days. Hopefully it'll be the Daytona 500 starting grid video, so you're not going to want to miss that one, and we'll see you on down the road.
I love you.